My name's Anita-Joy Uwajeh. I often go by just AJ, and I'm an actor. I graduated from Drama Centre in 2013, and since then I've done a mixture of both stage, TV and film work, and have even managed to keep working during this crazy time, which has been phenomenal and amazing. So yeah, that's sort of me in a nutshell.
Amazing. Hi everyone, my name's Mykal Rand. I'm a performer, director, choreographer. I started in London in the West End, and I've travelled all around the world with work. It's been amazing. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to work during Corona times. I've been working at home doing my own projects, which has been great. Yeah, we are locked down. I'm here in Germany at the moment, so yeah, we're still locked down a bit.
And so is Germany home for you?
Well, I kind of come back and forth from Germany. I first came to Germany in 1992 with Starlight, which is where I still am now. Starlight's been running here for over 30 years,
Wow.
which is, yeah, it's incredible. It's really incredible. And I started off as a cast member, I played lecturer in the show way back then. And now I'm Associate Director and Choreographer to Arlene Philips, which is brilliant. I love it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I get to do that job all over the world with her, which is just incredible, really. Very lucky.
Wow, that's so incredible. I mean, I kind of know Arlene Philips from Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. It's really amazing. So we were talking sort of before about like your entry into performing. Could you just like recap?
Of course. So I grew up with an English family, a foster family in Brighton. My parents were in London. I was growing up in Brighton. And my foster family were all ice skaters. Yeah, and they were British junior champions. They were pretty damn good.
Wow.
They were taught by an Olympic world champion. So they were really into it. They were doing all the holiday on ice shows and everything. So I started ice skating first, having lessons when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. I used to travel up from Brighton to Streatham Ice Rink with them when they'd go and have their lesson. Then I'd have my lesson.
I know that ice ring in Streatham.
Yeah, it's not there anymore, but
that's mad. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of my introduction into something other than the normal academic path.
Yeah.
And also because they were doing shows and everything, I used to go and see their shows and then go backstage, and it was just magical to me. I was just a little kid, obviously. And then in the playground at school, one of the girls she used to go to dance class, and she used to teach me and a friend routines in the playground. And I just went home one day and I said to my foster mum, I was like, I want to start dance classes. And
Wow.
she was like, okay. And I just started tap lessons first. I just stuck with tap. And then later on, I did some ballet, but I hated it because I didn't like wearing tights, which is just crazy. But anyway, but I did modern, and I used to do all the dance festivals and everything, and the All England Championships. And then I did a couple of like amateur productions. I did Bugsy Malone, and I did Hair in Brighton.
Okay.
Yeah, and then one of the guys in the show with me was a friend of mine as well.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, there's this audition. It was for like a Butlin summer season. But at that time, you had to have your equity card to work.
Right.
Yeah, and this summer season gave your equity card in one go. Like normally people were like working here, there and everywhere to try and get an equity card. And there's me, 17 years old, and they're
just
like, here's a contract, here's your equity card. I'm like, so that was kind of my intro into it. And while I was there, obviously this whole world was new to me.
Yeah.
Because I went through the path of just a local dance school and really had any insight into what actually
it required. Yeah
exactly. So people were amazing. They were teaching me and I was watching them and learning. My employers were incredible. They taught me loads. They told me to go try out this audition and this audition in London. I was down in Bognor Regis, and I went for Starlight Express, and I got it.
Wow.
I went to an open audition. It was amazing.
Wow. I mean, that is a story to be told.
Absolutely, it was amazing. I mean, you know, it was lucky because I was a skater. um,
Yeah,
yeah, that was my entry into the West End.
that's pretty amazing. That's
Yeah,
pretty
cool.
sick.
Cool.
And would you say, you know, your career as a performer, as an actor, as a choreographer, as a director, like, have there been any struggles for you that you think are attributed to your race?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. For me, it's a hard situation for me. This whole race situation,
Mhm.
I mean, it's hard for us all, you know.
Yeah.
I have kind of a juxtaposition in me because I was raised by a white family,
Mm.
you know, and I am black, so I do have experiences, but I also have experienced the non-judgmental, the non-racial side of everything, you know,
Mhm.
and the unconditional love. Um, so yeah, I do see things happen to me, and think, you know, and it took me a while to react to, not react to them, but to acknowledge them in a way that was not kind of biased by my upbringing. You
Mhm.
know, to see things for what they actually were.
Mhm.
Um, and I, I think as we were talking before as well, you know, there's a certain mindset. Um, you know, it's funny. I've been recording "Redemption" song by Bob Marley,
Right. Okay.
and you know, and there's what that line, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes a certain mindset to be able to just push forward through
Yeah.
it all and not let things affect you in a way that is going to make things even worse. You
Yes.
know, I think people. I've had a lot of support from friends um, that have made me push forward, regardless of what my color or race is or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and I've actually been quite lucky that, you know, Starlight, when I first joined Starlight, there were hardly, I don't know, any other like mixed nationality shows in London at that time, or
Mhm.
many black shows in London at that time.
Mhm.
So I was very lucky to be in that kind of show where there weren't any real limitations. You know, I literally went from a swing to a semi-principal in 3 4 months,
Wow.
and then you know the year after I went into a principal role. You know, and so I didn't have any. That was the beginning of my career, and I didn't feel like anyone was trying to hold me back.
Yeah.
And then the next show I did was Rent, which,
Right.
you know, is
Yeah.
everything. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you know, outside, you know, you go to auditions and you do sometimes feel, okay, well, yeah, I didn't get that because,
Mm.
especially like for me, you know, I'm quite dark skinned, so you know, all those kind of things go through your head. You know, they're
Yeah.
looking for a
Cool.
lighter person. They
Yeah.
don't want someone so dark
Yeah.
or even so African looking. You know,
Yeah.
there's things like that that come into your head, but you can't let them get to you. You know, because if that is the case, it's not in your control.
Yeah. How do
Yeah.
you with that in mind? And I don't think, you know, I don't think it's not about ever creating a space of them and us or participating in that kind of behavior. But how do we encourage there to be a system within which, you know, we don't have to question those things about ourselves? And I think
Mhm.
ultimately it's about when we are moving into those spaces of auditions, when we are moving into work, that it isn't that the show, if the show is multi, you know, racial, um, multi-gendered, that is also then reflected on those who are producing and creating it. How do we sort of reconcile that? What would be your sort of suggestions?
Well, I think with like for instance myself, when I'm going into a casting, Obviously, you know, you do pieces that are maybe like so specific that you have to stick to a certain look, etc., etc., etc. But when you can, when it's not so specific and you can open it up, to me, it's the best person for the role. It's okay. I really like that person. It was great. Let's do some work. Obviously, you know, as a person of color, I want some flavor in there. I do want some flavor in there. But you have to be realistic at the same time. And you know, I know there is a whole conversation going on at the moment about casting. I mean, and it's not just, you know, race. It's also gender. It's also you know, age. There's a lot of conversations going on at the moment. And I think it's great, but also it shouldn't be contrived. You know, okay, we need this, and we need you know, that token kind of area we're going into when you get in like that. But it's just the best. It's just to open it up. You know, don't have such a narrow-minded view of what's possible on stage. We're meant to suspend our belief, right? So
absolutely.
Let's just make art, create, have fun. You know, that's what it's about. It's about getting out there and having a great time. And when money comes into it, that's when things
get complicated.
Absolutely, because people start writing, creating, etc., for the audience rather than just creating, you know, from a great place.
I think that also says something about people's lack of trust actually in the audience, because I think audiences are so much more open-minded, daring. I don't even think those things are daring, right? But like they are so more excited by seeing work and art that speaks to them in a way in which they didn't expect it to.
Absolutely.
As opposed to seeing stuff which is just recycled.
Absolutely.
I do think it's about like encouraging these money holders to trust really trust them. If you're going to make something for these people, like really trust that they can handle it, because they can. Because we also as artists, we're consumers. Like it's not just, you know, and if we are up and ready for it, then I can't imagine that it's just us on our own. There are definitely people out there who want it.
Absolutely. I think especially now, you know, coming out of these times that we're coming out of, people are ready to take risks. People are ready to be daring. People are hungry. For something fresh, I think. If they're not, they should be. But I do feel that there's something happening, and it's a great conversation, and these conversations are so needed, and they help, you know, because people of color, you know, they're not necessarily been left behind, but they've been overlooked a lot.
Yes,
you know, and there are so many talented people out there of every shade, you know, and it's like, let every shade have a chance. You know, it's like we're all people. We all want to have you know, we want to perform. And people want to see, like, people want to see different things in front of them. They want to understand things now. It's not so much they want to be sheltered from stuff. You know, they just want to see and experience stuff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you make that then move from being a performer into then choreography and directing?
I've always kind of like choreographed stuff. Even as a kid, I used to love choreographing stuff, especially like for assembly and all that kind of stuff. And then
you're that kid.
Yeah, me and my sister, absolutely. And then we used to choreograph. Then I started, like, later on, I started choreographing my own festival routines. And I just loved it. I really loved it. I just loved dancing. You know? And then as they say, I started performing, and I came to Germany, and when I left Germany, I was offered skate coach and stunt coordinator in London for Starlight Express.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of took me into the creative team, but not in a like creative kind of manner. But I was, I was able to be in on auditions, and that was an eye opener in itself. Just being on the other side of the table, oh my god!
Yeah,
It made me really calm down in auditions. Knowing that the panel aren't against you. They want you to be great. They don't want to keep looking. So that was a great experience for me. And then when I went to Rent, Stacey Haynes was our resident director at the time, and she asked me to be her dance captain.
Right.
And then I started choreographing for pop groups and singers, and then small shows. And then I went to Australia to film school to study filmmaking and direction, etc., etc. So I used the direction in musical theatre and started directing plays and shows.
That's incredible. That's incredible. You've got to tell us what pop stars. Come on, you've got to give us the pop stars that you have had the pleasure of choreographing some work for them.
Well, if
you can.
The most famous one was Kathy Sledge from Sister Sledge.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. It was mad, actually, because a friend of mine put me in touch with her because she was coming to England to do a show.
Yeah.
And we were talking on the phone, and I was, when I was growing up, she was like all over everything. And I'm on the phone to her and I'm talking, and she's like, yeah, and then we want to do this song. And she started singing down the phone to me. I was just like,
wow. Wow.
What?
Serenaded.
It was incredible. It was incredible. But yeah, there's been a few different pop stars and things I've worked with, but that was amazing. And she was lovely as well.
That's wicked. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So was there ever a time in your career when you seriously sort of doubted? Because I know I definitely have had those times, still have those times when you've doubted yourself. And if you could just give us a sort of little background into, if you can, into what that was and how you overcame that, or how you found a way of handling those kinds of feelings.
There's been a few situations. I mean, this industry, it tends to make you doubt yourself a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
There's been situations where, I've been in a show and I've been first cover for a role, and the role's coming up, and you've had nothing but praise about what you're doing, and you're not expecting, but you feel good about the taking over the role, and then somebody else gets the role, and you're still there first cover, and I've seen people go both ways and be absolutely vile, both parties be absolutely vile to each other or be great to each other. And I always try and take the higher road, and not let it affect me, because I know at the end of the day, the business is what it is. There are going to be times when you get the role, and there are going to be times when you don't get the role. But you still have to represent. And me as a person, I was always taught to keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Something happens to you, deal with it, move forward. And so, the disappointments, yes, you doubt yourself and everything. You doubt your talent. You doubt everything. It's just part of the course. But you have to keep moving forward. If you remember why, I started dancing and performing because I love doing it.
Yes.
I don't want to do anything else. My mum and dad wanted me to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I left not even halfway through. I left quite early on in my studies for that, because it just didn't interest me.
Yeah.
And I love performing. So it's not so much whether other people think I'm great at something or not. And it's something I've had to learn, but it's what I get from doing it.
Yeah. So tapping into the why, like why am I doing what I'm doing, and
Absolutely.
allowing that to sort of push you through, regardless of the doubt or the questioning that you sort of have of yourself. Or
you have a dream,
yeah,
and sometimes that dream doesn't happen at that moment in time, so that shouldn't power you on to attack the things you think will let you down. Boost up your singing, your dancing, whatever it is, your confidence. It's a journey. Okay, I didn't get it this time, I'll get it next time, and I did get that job next time. Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep moving forward. I even when I'm at home, I spend a lot of time at home just creating. Whether it's music or art or videos or what, I always try and keep myself going with something because I enjoy it.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's really great and sound advice. Like, I remember sort of, especially during this time, sort of tapping into, like, there were moments, I think, especially if you're not always surrounded by fellow artists. And I think where we are now in this pandemic, we are unable to be with our people. And so I found myself gratefully surrounded by people that I love, but who don't do what I do. And, seeing them kind of continue and be like, yeah, I got this, I'm working from home, whatever. And I really had to question why am I still slugging at this career that is amazing when it's on, but oh my gosh, it's tough even in normal times. And now we're in this space where it feels like everything just kind of closing in on us. Obviously there's certain industries in particular, in the entertainment and performance industry is one of those industries where it feels like they just don't want to open these doors. And I really had to tap into that, why I'm doing this. What am I doing this for? And once I found that, which was, like you said, the love of creating, the love for me of playing somebody else, literally being somebody else, like that is utter joy, because I'm like, you don't have to see me, you can see me be someone else, and you can either love or hate or whatever you feel about this person, but that's fine, because at least you're getting something.
Absolutely.
And sort of tapping into that excitement and that hope really spurs me on when I'm feeling those moments of doubt as to what I'm doing. Am I doing the right thing? Should I just go back to university and study to be a lawyer? It's really kind of, because I've had those conversations too, with family members and people who are like, maybe you can try, and I'm like, no, I don't want to try that. I found my thing. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, really challenge, like really honing in on that and focusing on that, and allowing that to sort of re-energize you.
Absolutely. I think it's like during this whole time, I started studying psychology as well, and there's this whole it's called logotherapy, and it's this whole it's called will to meaning, and it's like life has a meaning, life has a purpose, and that's what you're always aiming for. You're always moving forward. You're always, it's like you want that. Well, you have to go to it. It's not, you're not going to, you can't just let things affect you. Just keep moving forward. And when you find that line, then everything else kind of just happens along the wayside, because you have a purpose. And it's when you get all the distractions, and that's when you start doubting and everything. But no, I have a purpose. I and it may not be, it's not like I want to get into this show. It's just like I love working. I love like being in a rehearsal room. I love being in a rehearsal room.
Oh my God, it's like the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to have those experiences. I want to create stuff. I want people to come and see stuff and be moved by stuff and enjoy stuff and learn from stuff. And it's making people feel a little bit better than they did before they came.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And which is such a gift that we have to give. And that's, you know, that's such an amazing thing when people come to the theatre and they are changed, even if it's in a small way, or they are able to see themselves or reconcile something with themselves. I think that's such a magical thing that we hold in our possession.
Absolutely.
Celebrate. So
yeah,
that's wicked. How do you look after your sort of mental health and well-being as a performer? And I suppose actually also as a director and choreographer.
yeah. I mean, do you mean like other than work stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like, you know, like I remember there was a time when I can't do it at the moment, but when I would go to auditions and then after an audition, I'd be like, I'm going to go bouldering. I'm going to go climbing for a bit. I wasn't very good, but I was like, I'm going to do that because my mind then becomes focused on that as opposed to on what I didn't do in that audition, and how I just sort of start to unwind and allow my mind to kind of get into a different space and hopefully a more healthy and relaxed space. So yeah.
Right. I love going to the gym. My thing is, for me, it's that I wake up. Right now, the gyms aren't open, which is driving me crazy. But I like to wake up.
Oh yes, because you're in Germany. I was like, they're open here. Yeah.
And then go to the gym and set myself up for the day. And it's not just about working. It's like my mind gets set up as well. And sometimes, like if I'm working on a show, or whatever, when I'm working out, I'm listening to the show music. And I'm like, the way I work is I have a lot of visuals in my head. I listen to music and I see movement, and that's how I kind of get my ideas and things. And so I use the gym as a kind of place for me to be inside my head. You know, even though I'm doing my workout or whatever, I'm actually in here, and that kind of, it just sets me up for the day. It gives me that focus.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm going a bit stir crazy at the moment.
I can imagine.
But yeah, I like to go to the gym. I like to do a lot of I like to walk a lot. I like to go for walks. I like to read. I like to watch movies. I think it's not necessarily I need relaxed time, but it's like if I'm not like on stage or something, or I'm not out and about, I'm not firing, or I relax. You know, I chill. I'm a very, very chilled person. I try not to let things really, really bother me or worry me. Worry is a wasted emotion, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So yeah, I try and keep myself at a nice, even keel. And so I think that really helps me mentally. You know, and as I say, you know, even like studying psychology helps me just keep myself level-headed.
Yes.
You know, and I don't like drama outside of theatre. So if you're drama, please no. You know, that's you know, so I keep myself
calm.
Yeah.
Calm. That sounds very zen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very zen. And do you ever find, you know, I think for myself, sometimes I find speaking to or having an outlet, a space someone I can be like, this is what I'm feeling at this moment in time, with regards to work. And I think because, you know, what we do is so exposing as performers, be it dancing, be it acting, be it singing. It's so, we are giving ourselves. So I often find it quite useful to, and I say this to even the students that I work with now, like really be each other's pack, be each other's company, be each other's supporters.
Absolutely.
It's tough at the best of times, but it's lovely to know that you maybe have those other people that you can be like, look, I'm finding this really hard, who can uplift you in those times, or at least just be in a space for you to let it out in.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a very small community. You know, everybody either knows somebody or knows somebody, you know, or, So there is a lot of support out there, and I do have to tend to have a close circle of friends.
Yes.
Who we talk to each other about everything.
Yeah.
And they'll laugh at me and tell me to grow up or berate me or whatever. It's all very real, but it's not judgmental or anything. It's just real. It's how our lives are, and we've known each other for maybe like 30 years. I'm giving away my age, but anyway.
Stop it.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. It's a very tight circle, and we can go months without talking to each other, and then pick up the phone, and it's like we spoke to each other 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to have that kind of grounding.
Yes.
Because unfortunately in this business there are a lot of people that are sycophants and people that want something, or so it's important to have your real people around you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I 100% echo that, and have your core people who you can really rely on,
absolutely,
and seek support from, and also give that support to if they need it.
Absolutely, it's give and take. It's absolutely give and take. It's your chosen family.
Yes.
Really. And I love them to bits. We love each other. We can argue. We don't really scream and shout, because I say I don't like drama.
Yeah.
But it really is a family away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes they become home because you're with them all the time. If you're touring.
If you're touring, oh my God.
Make really make it an enjoyable experience for yourself.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you want to enjoy life. And I think hopefully, as I said, people should have changed through this experience, because hopefully they've realized that some of the things we complain about aren't really worth complaining about. Exactly. Some of the things we let get under our skin aren't worth letting get under our skin.
Exactly.
And so it's just go out and have a good time. Stop stressing.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. So what do you, for you, your thoughts, so what do you sort of believe needs to change when it comes to representation within the sort of performing arts world?
It's I think there's always been this need to get more people of color into shows, but I think what's really apparent to me as a director and a choreographer is getting people of all ethnicities into management positions, into controlling positions, into creative positions. It's at a level that we need to just
elevate
that, exactly. And I think that's what really needs to change. It needs to open. I mean, there are great places. I worked at Stratford East a couple of years ago. I love that place.
I'm literally up the road from that wonderful place.
I love that place. It's just so open and easy, and there's no stigmas or anything. It's just amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then they're so passionate about theatre and everything, and they're passionate about helping young people, and the groups they do and the outreaches and everything. And it's that kind of mindset that because they've got people of every ethnicity in their management team, so they're hitting every community. And there are people there that know what these certain communities need, or what and there aren't enough of those kind of people in those roles.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it. And I think it's not saying that only Black or Asian people know what Black and Asian people need. But what it is saying is that sometimes when you want to understand what a particular group wants, you probably should look within the group to ask the question, and then maybe they can give you the answer. And it's really interesting that you talk about Stratford East, because I recently, out of utter fluke and madness, filmed an episode of Atlanta, which obviously films usually in Atlanta. But for some reason, Donald Glover and the whole crew felt the need that they needed to be in Europe, which is great for me because I was like, that's
amazing.
But what was really amazing to see and really incredible and actually incredibly inspiring was to see these group, all of them mostly men. I think they've got like a woman on there, but besides that, incredibly mixed group of people. I mean, you had Black, white, Asian, and working so collectively to tell these stories, to tell that whatever it is that they wanted to display. And sometimes I think we're kind of sold this idea that, you know, Black people, people of color can't hold these positions. They don't know how to hold these positions. They're not ready to hold these positions. But actually, that was a prime example of they are ready.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
that was one of the best experiences I have ever had. I was like, this is phenomenal to see this kind of professionalism, but joy and passion and drive and encouragement.
That's what makes the difference.
Exactly. You know, and so I think you're right. You're so right. It's really about, you know, people keep on saying, we need to have the conversation. We need to talk about it. We need to do this. We need to do that. No, what we need to do is have our production companies, have our producing houses, have our producers, have our directors, choreographers start to look like the company that we're working with. That's what we really need to start doing. And if we don't have those people, okay, let's actually actively set up training programs whereby we start to train people that way. And so we can encourage them. Let's not make it this space where, because also that then asks the question of why aren't, you know, non-white people participating? And often the answer to that is because they don't see themselves and they don't think that they can afford to do it. And so then we need to get them to see themselves and let them know that they can afford to do it. And we need to create those spaces for that to happen.
Absolutely. You know, as you say, you know, if they don't see themselves, they don't feel they can get in there. They don't feel like they can go there. And I think, you know, going back to my childhood and being raised by a white family, I didn't have that kind of mindset. I because wherever I went, I was with them, so I was going everywhere, you know. And so when it went out into the world, I didn't need to see myself in somewhere because I hadn't grown up with seeing myself somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just a different mindset, and I think that opened a few more doors for me.
Yeah.
You know? I do, as I say, you know, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It's in here as well, you know. It's even though it is happening out there, but it's also how you deal with stuff. Anyway, next question.
but great, absolutely great. And I think it's great that we're, you know, I think a lot of people are on the same page. I think it's just about, I think it's now time for the work to be done.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the conversation has definitely been had over the past year. You know, I think, you know, obviously it was horrible what happened over the last year, but what's come out of it, the conversations and the mindsets of, especially like, you know, I have to say Brits is amazing, ICT is amazing, because, you know, they were on it straight away with having meetings of, you know, how can we make this more diverse? How can we appeal to more people? What do we need to do to make it genuine, to make it authentic, to, you know, we're not paying lip service, we actually mean this, you know, and those kind of conversations have happened everywhere. And, you know, some of them are lip service. You can see it a mile away, you know, really. But there are some that aren't. And it's a really, really, really great thing because it gives us as people of color, it gives us a voice, but it just gives you, it gives you see a light, you see a crack in it. Okay, it's opening. I've got a foot in now. Okay, and it's just move forward, you know. but we also have people supporting us to move forward as well at the same time, you know, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So what advice would you give to someone who has faced rejection, for, like, you know, what would you say to encourage them to keep going?
I think we've already said it, really. I think it is that, remember why you started. Remember that passion you have. Remember that in this business, rejection happens
all the time.
It's part of your job. It's part of your job. You're not going to get every job. If you do, then I'm going to become an agent and make you my client.
Yeah.
Because, you know, rejection is part of the course. You know, you go in, you audition, you don't get a job. You go in, you audition, you get a job. You go in, you know, somebody's looking at your reel. They don't like something on your reel. They don't like something in your voice. It's like we are on show.
Yes.
You know, so you have to have a thick skin, and it's not like have a thick skin that makes you have a chip on your shoulder.
Yes.
It's just have a chip so it just rebounds off of you. It's like, okay, fine. Okay, what do I learn from that? How do I move forward from that? Okay, they didn't, you know, I've had comments that, oh, we don't think he can handle it dramatically when I've just played a really dramatic role, or, you know, I don't think he can sing it when I've just sung my hardest role ever, or, you know, and they are personal, and you know, in your circle of friends, you have your rant, and you let it out. You let it out, and they give you whatever reaction back. And again, because it's real, you can get on with it. You know, if people are confident, but you're brilliant, you should have got that. You know, I don't need to hear that. You know, that's not going to help me get over anything.
No.
But yeah, I think as you said, having that strong network of people, and just having that mindset that this is my business. This is not personal. This is my business. As I said to you, you know, when I went onto the other side of the table, and I sat behind the table, people come into audition, and I immediately felt the want for them to be great. You know, when they come in, you know, and obviously I know the nerves that go on when you're auditioning. You know, I've stood there auditioning, my legs going and everything. And, you know, I know that goes on. So you try and make people comfortable, you know, and people, you know, as soon as people start walking in, whatever, you know, you get an idea whether they're right or not for the role. You know, and if they're right for the role, then they just need to deliver. You know, if they're not right for the role, they can't. There's nothing they can do that's going to get you the job.
Absolutely.
Nothing. Absolutely. So, you know, and that's when you have to be, okay, it's not me. I'm not right for what they want, for the piece. You know, and yes, you know, maybe a couple of times it's a bit nefarious or whatever. It's a bit of a different reason. But that's generally the reason. Is just you're not right for the role. You know, or somebody else is more right for the role. Exactly.
You know, I think it's like what you said before about taking the pressure off yourself and knowing that actually it's not even about you. It's not about you. It's not about the quality of your work. I think, remember, just, you know, come with the work, come ready, but the rest of it is not up to you.
You go in there, you do your thing. That's it. It's done. You've done all you can.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, if you walk in, as I say, you look the role, then I'm like, oh my God, please be able to sing.
Yeah.
You know, if they come in and they don't look the role, then maybe they're right for a different role.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just not right for the piece. Even if they're brilliant, they might not be right for the piece. I mean, I'm hoping I've been brilliant in auditions and not got the role.
Yeah, I mean, often that's the case though. Like, well, you are, and this isn't just, you know, this isn't trying to make big people up when they've not done a good audition. I know when I've not done a good audition. I absolutely know when I've like, that was shocking. But at the same time, I also have been aware of times when I'm like, no, I did a really good audition there actually, because I like I said, I was ready, I did my work, I was prepared, I was focused, and I just wasn't right. And there is nothing I can do about not being right, because when you are right, it's like the best feeling ever. Absolutely. And then, you know, I've asked directors before, oh, so like what was it? You were the role. So actually I was like, wow, there's nothing I needed to have done apart from say the words the way they needed to be said, because the rest of it I was it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've come out of auditions, and I on the phone to my agent, I had a great audition, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll call you back and they'll say, if you haven't got the role, like, oh, didn't get the role, but they said there's nothing more you could have done.
Yeah.
So you have to take away from that.
Yeah.
What it is. There's nothing more you could have done. You were good as far as they were concerned, but you weren't right.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. Don't look into it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. But as I say, that's our business. And rejection. I mean, if you go into theatre school, you must be, used to being in that process of auditioning, rejection, or whatever. But it's the business. It's the industry. That's the nature of it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think for up and coming performers, actors, dancers, singers, I think it's great that we're able to have an insight into megastars and see what they do and their work and stuff. But I think sometimes, especially when you see young megastars, you sort of think, oh, that could be me. And that absolutely
should be me.
And that should be me, exactly. And absolutely, maybe that should be you, and maybe that could be you. But also, I think understanding that they may have more often than not, they have experienced their own rejection. And I think also having this space to sort of talk about the empowerment of rejection. Sometimes I've been rejected from jobs and I'm like, oh, that sucks, man. I really wanted that job. And then I hear about the job and I'm like, whoa, that was protection. Because sometimes rejection is total protection. That was actual, like, you could not be in that space. That space was not for you because it was a mess. So I think it's really having and knowing that sometimes I've been rejected from things and then a year later, it comes back round. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How? So there are so many, there are so many wonderful things I think that can be found in rejection, and you grow, and growth is an amazing thing.
But again, it's what you take out of it, right? It's it's that moving forward. Okay, well, that was a rejection. What did I learn from that? You may not sit there and be like, what did I learn from that? But you do learn from things, hopefully. And you either make yourself better or you adjust things or whatever. But they're all lessons, and it showbiz. I know that 99.9% of people who go into show business want to be famous, but this overnight success myth isn't real. It's everybody has to work, regardless of where the work happens. Whether it happens before you get a deal or when you get the deal or once you've got into something. But everybody has a journey. It's not just like bam.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that it's that's people forget that journey and just want to be at the destination. So okay, you get to the destination, what next? Exactly. It's that if you haven't enjoyed the journey and you got to the destination, then destination doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that. I'm trying to watch The Queen's Gambit, Netflix. And I think there was a moment in there where somebody said to her, okay, so if you become world champion at 16, what do you do after that? And she literally was like, oh yeah. Like, so there's always this race. But when you get there, what are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
What's going to drive you next? And you might find something, absolutely. But also to remember that there is something to be, there's something to relish in the journey. Absolutely.
It makes the destination all that more sweeter. I mean, and also I think if you're constantly like on a journey, the destination changes. It's like, okay, I've made that. Okay, there. You're enjoying it. You're wanting to go through it. If you're just like, okay, I want to be on Broadway. How do I get on Broadway? Okay, I'm on Broadway. I'm doing a show on Broadway. What next? You know, and I think that's when you're not really content, and other things start coming in. Other distractions start coming in, whether they're detrimental or good, who knows. But you get pulled in different directions.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have your path and you have your journey, you can just enjoy it. And yeah, it does get hard, but that makes the good times even better.
Oh, makes them so enjoyable. It's like unreal.
Absolutely.
You're kind of like, oh, okay, that maybe the other stuff was worth it, because this is such an incredible experience and moment, and I want to bottle it and hold it for a little bit longer. What advice would you give to a performer who feels they're, you know, maybe being, we sort of touched upon this already, but maybe being sort of discriminated against or not treated appropriately or fairly?
I personally have this philosophy that anything that I am not happy with or I feel is not right, I will never approach something directly. I will always go to my agent. I have an amazing relationship with my agent. I absolutely love her to bits. I've been with her for years. She was my agent and my old agents, and then she made a new agency. My old agency closed down, and I went with her.
Right.
And so we've been like together for like 20 or odd years or something.
Wow.
And I have a great relationship with her, so I can talk to her about anything industry related. And she 100% backs me or talks me into sense. But I think don't take it on yourself. You know, go through somewhere where you can remain impartial to the heat. You know, that you don't have to like deal with it face to face in your workplace. Get somebody, your agent or whoever, to deal with it, and they can deal with it on an official level. They can take it to equity or whatever. But make sure you talk to somebody outside of the theatre. Don't just go ranting into somebody's face about it, or even like ranting to people around the theatre about it. It's like, just talk to your agent. You know, unless obviously if it's a bigger thing and it's more people and the more people are involved in it, then you need to obviously get a representative to talk about it. But I still would approach it personally with your agent yourself. I don't think performers should get into Barneys with management and things like that, because it just doesn't help. But definitely don't sweep it under the table either. Don't pretend it's not happening, because if you feel it's happening, it's happening. You know, it may be on a small level, but it's happening. Don't let people gaslight you. Absolutely. And I say you have to, take it seriously and take yourself seriously in that situation, because it's definitely not right, obviously. But yeah, don't. I remember one time when I was young, and it wasn't so much they were discriminating against me because of my color, but I had an issue with management. I was very, very young, and I went into the company office and I was screaming, and they were screaming back at me. I mean, nothing really came of it, but when I left, I felt horrible. I felt so horrible, because I actually really, really loved the company manager, and they really loved me as well. You know, and all that kind of screaming diva stuff. No, leave it. It's just not right. Go through the right channels, but deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a similar experience where we had a company manager who just was. It's funny. It was one of those classic moments where you literally are like, all the questions that you ask yourself as a person of color, where you're like, okay, maybe it's not. Is it? Oh no, I think it is. Oh, but why? It can't be. And then you're like, well, I'm asking all these questions. It is what it is. Yeah. Like there is no denial of what I am experiencing. And and luckily I was in the company of, it was an all black cast, which was amazing. And so it wasn't an isolated feeling, which was such an empowering thing. I was like, okay, cool. This is not, I'm not just thinking this madness.
Yeah.
And you know, I spoke to my agent about it, and the situation was dealt with. But also, luckily, having these people to my company to also talk to about it, and for us to collectively be like, okay, how do we handle this situation appropriately and officially? Actually, I think, you know,
absolutely.
There was none of that shouting back at him. You know, interesting when he behaved in this incredibly rude way. One of the guys in our company just turned to him, and I mean, it was like the most beautiful response ever, and was like, "Chris, are you all right?" And he didn't really know how to react, because I think what he was probably expecting was that he was going to get a swear back or something, or because he had sworn. And it was like, no, he didn't get that. Actually, what he got was a very calm, level-headed response. And check-in actually was like, is everything okay? And then after that, we sort of, you know, we dealt with it. But you're totally right in terms of definitely go through the sort of official channels.
Absolutely.
And you know, voice it in a way, if you need to speak to other people, in a way that gets you to the right answer, not in a way that causes any more upset or
drama.
Drama.
Yeah. Drama. No, definitely. I mean, you know, that kind of, your agent gives, as you say, gives you that kind of officiality, that stamp that, you know, I'm being serious about this. You know, this isn't just me having a moment. My agent's onto it, so we're going to sort this out. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool that you've been with your agent that long. I think that's so nice.
Absolutely.
And I hope that that, you know, you can have a good old agent that you can hold on to for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love her to bits. She's like a good friend of mine.
That's amazing. And yeah, and does she support you in terms of your directing, choreography work as well? Okay.
100%.
That's pretty cool. Can you maybe just sort of, in a sort of summary, I suppose, share, like, you know, on what's sort of what this webinar topic means to you?
I think these kind of conversations are always great, because you people hear about that discrimination, whether it's about gender or color or whatever, and they just, you know, it's just bam, it's just that there's no shades to it, there's no different experiences, there's no, you know, so you paint everyone with the same brush. Everyone has the same experience. Okay, they're all black, so they've all had that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's just good to get to the reality of the situation. You know, and for people of all colors to hear about the experiences. You know, some people, you know, I've got some black friends that are very, very affluent and very, very, you know, wealthy. You know, and they wouldn't have been exposed to a lot of stuff that other people are exposed to, but they may have been exposed to a lot of, you know, the other stuff that they you know. So it's good to hear different people's stories and have a discussion of, because you can't tackle something if you don't know the big picture of it all. You know? It's I'd say if you paint everyone with the same brush, it's just as bad as being racist, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just ignorance. And these conversations are important to help understand how everyone understand each other. You know, because I think that's one thing that's really lacking and leads to a lot of anger. People get scared if they don't understand things. You know, so it's about understanding and again moving forward with knowledge of, okay, well, actually, I've kind of had maybe the same kind of experience as him. You know, I may not be a black person or a gay person or whatever, but I understand what they're saying. I felt like that myself. Or, you know, it's about people can start to relate to each other. You know, and just people just need to start talking and building connections, you know, on a real level, not on a gaslighting level or a level that we've been operating on for however many years, where, you know, it's happening, but I'm just ignoring it. Yeah. And you are too. So yeah, I know. You know, people are actually talking about it now, openly, online, that everywhere. And we feel empowered to be able to talk about it now, you know, and not be like, whispering in the back somewhere. You know, no, this is happening. We're going to deal with it. And I know I'm not angry. I'm just like, we're going to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going on anymore.
Exactly.
And I think that's also the thing, is that these conversations help people move forward. They help people like, okay, well, no, that's wrong. But not get, I think it gives people solutions.
Yeah.
You know, it gives people like ammo of how to deal with things, you know, and not get into situations where they're in screaming matches, or they get into fights, or heaven forbid, get stabbed or whatever. You know, deal with it in a rational manner, and talk about things rather than fight about things.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I have nothing to add to that. Well said. And I suppose finally, like, why are these kind of conversations necessary within the performing arts industry in particular?
I think the performing arts industry claims to be the open, you know, all welcoming space where, you know, and it's not.
Yes.
You know, and that needs to be revealed, and well, it has been revealed, but it just needs to change. You know, if we're and also if we're going to tell stories of these openness, and you know, we need to be it. You know, yes, we are a make believe, but we tell real stories, and we tell stories about people and humanity, and whether we like it or not, we influence people. You know. The creators influence people, the writers influence people, how you portray a character influences people. And you need to be open. You need to be, you know, you need to be able to be an open book. And not necessarily an open book. You need to be able to be acceptable. You need to be understandable. You need to.
Also, you need to deliver what you're saying you are. Exactly. Like, you know, you're so right. Our industry is this industry that's like, we're all inclusive, and we're all about this, and we're all about that, and we want to our industry is about showing society where it needs to be better, or where it can learn, or where it can grow, or what great things we are doing, or what great things we're not, or what things we're not doing very well. But when you start to indulge in those things that are not very good, and you're not actually doing the things you're encouraging other people to do, well, then you're failing.
Absolutely.
And in many ways, you might as well just be one of the many politicians that we don't like. You know what I mean? So I think it's incredibly important for this kind of conversation and then action. I will continue to say it, that you know, is then put into place, that within our industry, it's incredibly important for the health and wealth, actually, of our industry.
Absolutely. And you know, there's this whole you know, during Corona times, it's been, especially with Donald Trump when he was in office in the States, you know, there was this whole thing about acting and the arts, etc., helping to teach empathy. You know? And it was like, okay, well, if we're helping to teach empathy, then we need to be empathic. You know, we need to have it up.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have it, I mean, I wouldn't want to think about not having empathy myself. But you know, it's all about, you know, authenticity. You know, you have to be real. Be real. You know, I'm a black person, but that's just the color. It's just the color. Yes, I've got cultural differences, but actually, I don't. I was raised by white people. So you're looking at me, and you're seeing a black person, you're labeling me with all your stereotypes of what a black person is. But I'm not a stereotype. None of us are stereotypes. We all have, especially, you know, in this day and age, especially like in England or America or whatever, we've gone past those where people have just come to the country, or they've just, you know, people are born in England, they've been raised in England, they have English, you know, and a West Indian or African heritage or mannerisms or whatever. You know, it's a different world now. It's a multicultural world, and we need to reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And within that, you know, even when people are coming from different places, they are coming with an enriched culture.
Absolutely.
And the stereotypes that have been put upon different communities are often the behaviors of very few. Like very few behave in that way. And so there's such falsehoods that are actually put upon people. And you're totally right. Like we are now cultures are now so intertwined, and so that's what we should be looking for and celebrating and moving forward. And I think that's what this industry needs to really start to, you know, enact practically now, not just lip service.
Yeah, I think, you know, in the past, theatre especially was quite elitist. You know, people dressed up to go to the theatre, and it was very, very white audience, and all this kind of thing. And through the times, theatre's not that. I mean, it still is in places, you know, but we have our own outlets now as well. You know, and people want to see themselves and as well as other people up on the stage. They want to be able to relate. And it's interesting what you were saying, as I was going to say earlier as well, that, you know, all these different nationalities, they just add richness to stories. They add richness to our lives. You know, they open our eyes to different things. They open our hearts to different things. You know, I think that's sometimes what people are scared of. And I think that's where some of the issues come from. It's not a rational place. It's a place of their insecurity, whatever it is.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Wow, that was lovely.
It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
You too. Absolute pleasure. Like absolute pleasure. And also just such a wonderful insight into, like, you know, your experience and how your experience perhaps, you know, differs from my own, and also how there are similarities, and you know, how we can grow and sort of move forward. Like,
absolutely. And it is that people's lives do, you know, they have similarities, and then it's totally different or whatever. And it's just, okay, well, if I've got similarities, then even the differences, I must, you know, we must still be on the same kind of level, you know, because we do meet at certain points. You know? And I think that's what it's all about, connection. We're like connecting with people. I think that's what people need to do. More
now than ever.
Absolutely.